Obviously you can change them independently from the number of samples from your subsurface scattering and how many to choose for reflection blurring. It just gives you the ability to tweak to get the right look without the render hit. Now what I want to do here is just to quickly show this the advanced shading and sort of path light inside. Now what we've got is if we go to this object here, I do have some objects that are 1 meter below the surface at the moment. If I put them back to where they were and hit F9 to render that, we should see, because we've got both of these options on, we should see the objects that are inside here, and they're effectively two spheres, one on the left side, one on the right side, and they've been set to have luminosity. I think they're about 200% luminosity, so we can see them glowing the inside of this surface here, which gives it a quite nice, cool sort of looking effect. Now you could actually use this to your advantage. Actually, if you wanted to, you know, tweak the look of this absorption color, you could actually sort of model an offset of the surface that you're looking at here, or your main object, and then color them that way. So you could use that to. It doesn't necessarily have to be an object like this where it's completely different to the outside object. You know, so you could mess about with that. But let's just pause the recording again here and have a look at that when it's finished. Okay, so there we go. You can see there's something happening on the inside there. Looks quite cool. If I turn off advanced shading, which we've seen before anyway, you'll better sort of see that these objects effectively don't exist whatsoever. None of that interior illumination is going on. Can't even see that the objects are even there. And again, obviously the ground plane's gone now as well. Yeah, so I won't bother letting that finish. That's basically what happens. Now pass light inside. I'm going to turn this off and see whether that actually affects the look of these interior spheres. F9 that. So I pressed the pause recording there by accident. I'm not sure whether this is going to be particularly evident. It might look basically a little bit darker in this rendering than the previous one. But let's pause the recording and see what happens when it's finished. Okay, so this is without pass light inside and with pass light inside. Now I'm struggling to see much of an effect there. Yeah, anyway, it's pretty difficult to tell, to be honest. But again, that could be just the way I've got this scene set up. I'm going to leave that on anyway. Now, when we first started this tutorial, we were talking about this not being on the ground plane and not being able to see this checkerboard effect. Now, what I want to do is I want to sort of see what this looks like now. Now, we've got this sort of looking fairly accurate in terms of when we compare it to this Maxwell render here. But if I put that slightly 0.1 millimeters above the surface and hit render again, it does completely change the look of this, I have to say. Because you get this much darker sort of bottom part here and the center part here, which it's like I say, it to me doesn't look right. Whether it is or not, I don't know. Maybe someone on the forum can enlighten me in that respect. But let's just pause that and compare them side by side. Okay, so it's just finishing up, and bump. Right, so that's with the object slightly off the y-axis, and that's with it directly on the y-axis. Now, huge difference, and I really don't know what to make of this in terms of, you know, which one do you use in terms of visual accuracy, really. because, like I say, to me, this dark center bit here and lighter up here, it just doesn't look right, whereas that does. So it's, I mean, the reason why this is obviously you're seeing this is because of this advanced shading, and that's where it's different to the Maxwell sort of renderer, basically. But I just, I don't know. It's a difficult one really to call. Really depends on the look you're after. But you know, if you've got a scene that's very similar to this, where you've got something on the ground plane and you want a bit of seeing something through it, then you need to make sure that it's directly on the ground plane and you've got advanced shading turned on, so that you get that kind of look. Now, interestingly, when I was testing this as well, this is something else. So we're nearly at the end here. I know I'm rambling on a bit here. If I let's just close that down and bring up the surface editor. At the moment we've got double-sided turned on, which you need for it to work. And if I turn that off and F9 that, from what I can remember, I can't remember whether I had this on the. Whoa! Look at that. Now hang on a sec. Let's just. That's not what I was after. Let's just. Technically this is not correct because the Sigma shader needs double-sided on. But if you have this on the ground plane, and I'm trying to remember the exact scenario that I had before. Yeah, let's just move those objects out of the way a second. They're completely throwing it out here. So let's -1 meter, and test this again. Like I say, it's not using the shader in the way that it should be, but you do get this much more pronounced transparency, really, or translucency, which does look a lot more like the Maxwell render that we showed earlier. It's just like an interesting sort of hack, really. It's not how you're supposed to use this shader. So, but I found that interesting when I was messing about with it earlier. So let's just turn that off, put that back on. Of course, you can effectively achieve the same effect by really cranking up this distance setting to something like 30 millimeters and do that again. That should yeah, it gives us this effect here, but it also brings it in from the corners here as well, which is not quite the same effect that we've got here. So you know, it's all about playing with settings, really. All about playing with settings. And I'm just going to see what happens when we put these things back in the frame, actually, with that distance setting cranked right up. I'll pause the recording again here, so you don't have to sit through it. Okay, yeah. So again, it's another weird looking effect, really. So we've got the distance set up to something really quite beyond probably what it should be. So we can see that this sort of edge here is where the subsurface scattering effect is sort of, and I'm not sure if it's, like I say, I'm not correct, sure if I'm correct in saying that it's like an offset to where it starts to have that effect, but it certainly looks like it is here, because we can see there's no subsurface scattering happening at all up until that point. Now if we bring that down again, so let's say to 10 millimeters, that line that we've just seen around those spheres should be much further towards the surface. Actually, it's much further, yeah. So you can see it's only just. You probably see it a bit better on this one. It's not quite as pronounced. Let's just wait till the adaptive sampling gets past it. So you can see it's moved it up much more towards the surface, really. So yeah, again, it's all about playing with settings, actually, to see what it looks like. Let's try it with 0, see what that looks like. Pause the recording again. Okay, and there we have a 0 distance. So yeah, that's basically a look at some of the settings within the subsurface scattering shader Sigma. Hope you enjoyed that. I hope, sort of rambling on so much, but it's a bit more, like I say, a bit more of an exploration rather than an actual sort of tutorial as to how to do stuff. Hope you enjoyed it. Thanks a lot.